us to answer them as poorly as possible. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and a very happy Friday to all of you. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky at joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and you get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Go to FanDuel.com to get started. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and we are available on all platforms. So give it a thumb and a double bang and all of that stuff. We're here and we are ready to go. Time to get to fantasy basketball questions that I'm joined once again by the inventor of Hoops Hype's global rating system and fantasy basketball cinematic universe's favorite character, Adam King. Welcome to the show.
Morning, Josh. Very good to be here. Nice and awake today. I don't know why, but I am.
Yeah, why would that be, King? It's 6:30 in the morning. What's going on? Why are you so vibrant?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's Friday.
Shout out to Rebecca Black, I guess.
Yeah. I'm not singing, but
not yet.
People know the song.
Not yet. All right, well, let's just get into these questions. It is Thanksgiving in the States, so any of you who are here watching and avoiding family commitments, we appreciate that. But hey, go say hi to your family as well at some point. Or bring them over here, actually. Get them on their devices to just open up the show on put it on your big TV as well. Everyone gather around. We've got something to be thankful for. It's two dickheads from Australia talking about basketball. That's what you all should be thankful for. So we are here to talk about fantasy. And I'm just going to go straight to this one from you, who asks, who do you project as starting for the New Orleans Pelicans once Herbert Jones returns? Adam King, what do you think the Pelicans' starting lineup is going to look like in that situation?
It's hard to remember who even plays for the New Orleans Pelicans. I think Herb Jones will start once he's maybe not straight away. What will be the starting lineup? I guess the question, it'll be DeJounte, it'll be CJ, it'll be Brandon Ingram. Misi probably holds on to this starting role for, I don't know, a lot of the season. It's whether it's Murphy or Jones. I think it's probably Jones. I don't know. That's who I would have picked as the starter to start the season, so I'm not going to change my opinion now.
Well, their alleged lineup was going to be Zion starting instead of Misi. Yeah. And they were claiming that Herb Jones was going to be the center, and that was garbage because he wasn't going to be the center. It was going to be Zion as the center. So I agree. I don't think that they'll go with Herb Jones as the center next to Trey Murphy. I don't think that's what they'll do. So I do think that they will start Herb. What they should do is they should bring CJ off the bench. They won't do that. So I do think it'll be Trey, which would be a colossal mistake in a season of colossal mistakes from this team. Yep. But I don't think it matters that much, to be honest with you. I think that Trey will still get 33 minutes because, again, King, the rest of that team, there's not that many people there, is there, that are any good?
No, and that is also assuming that they're all healthy at the same time, which thus far has been an issue. Yeah,
which is probably not a good way to probably not a good expectation or a good thing to try and bank on. All right, let's have a look. What do we got here? All right, Sponger. Do we hold on to Goga Badadze in 9-cat leagues yesterday? A little bit surprising, Kingy. He started next to Wendell Carter Jr. They moved Tristan Da Silva to the bench. And Goga, this is where we can try and sit and prognosticate and guess and all that sort of stuff. And we see the game before Goga plays 20 minutes. Wendell comes back and he plays 25. And you go, well, that makes literally no sense at all. Why is he playing more when Wendell is back? So if we're trying to draw conclusions from either of those games, I think we're just going to be wrong. What do you do with Goga here? I don't think that a 22-minute-a-night role is probably enough for him to be a must-roster player. It makes him interesting, but I don't think it makes him a must. How do you see this situation all playing out?
Yeah, I don't think it makes him a must, but I also think that he hasn't been a 22-minute player consistently, even with Wendell out. It's been up and down a little bit the last week or so. I think he's still – look, if you picked him up and you rostering him for rebounds and blocks, not much else, I think I'd probably just hold him. I'm going to hold him just for another couple of games, and if they're going to run him out alongside Wendell Carter and play him 22 to 25 minutes, probably depends on the matchup a little bit, but I think he's still okay to hold for now, for the short term.
Here's a question that's more strategy related, and I've been tweeting about it a little bit, Kingy. It is Sponger again. We're just going to double up on the big fella's questions here. As I just try and make sure I can resize that one into the screen properly. He says, what happens in week 8 in Yahoo? Should we use our ads more wisely? So we're currently in week 6. Week 7 is next week. That's the way that the numbers work in our system that we use, Kingy. But week 7 in Yahoo is something that they have botched up completely. And I know there are going to be multiple people raging who have not listened to this show, who have ignored what I said. So I'll say it every day now until the beginning of week 7. Week 7 is a 14-day matchup on Yahoo, and there is absolutely no reason for it. They have gotten their weeks wrong. What happens starting next week, it's a regular week in fantasy. The week after that is the knockout stage of the NBA Cup, where every team plays 2 games. So for this week 7 period, which is 14 days, teams are going to be playing either 5 or 6 games, which, again, why have we combined them? There's no reason. The one after that, week 8, is when the NBA Cup final is on, which is on the Tuesday. So that's a game that doesn't count. So Tuesday will have 0 games that count. Wednesday is a game with no days off. Everyone's got the day, or no games on. Everyone's got the day off on the Wednesday, so there are 0 games counting then. I believe there's maybe 1 or 2 random regular season games on the Monday of that week, but then everything starts back up Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you're going to have week 7, which is a 14-day matchup where teams are playing 6 games. You're going to have week 8, which is theoretically a 7-day matchup, but there are at least 2 zeros in that week, maybe 3, where everyone plays 2 or 1 game. So it's screwed up. Week 8 is going to have hardly any days of action, and in that week 8 period, like you can say, like use your ads more wisely. Week 8, like there's nothing going on. There's only like 3 or 4 days to stream guys in, and that's it. So it's going to be very weird.
Yeah, it is. I'm just looking at that now, actually, because I don't really play on Yahoo that much. I'm in a couple of leagues, but that's just looking at the depth chart, the schedule grid here. Yeah, that's. They've stuffed that up.
They absolutely have.
Yeah, so that's going to be that 14-day. I'm assuming if you've got games caps, things like that, they will just double them for that week.
Well, I know that the transaction limit won't change. So if you've got 4 ads for a week, you'll have 4 ads for that matchup, which is 14 days and 6 games. So you'll be at a situation, which I think is what Sponger is referring to there. It's the week 7 situation where you've got 6 games over 14 days. You'll only have your 4 games on. Yahoo, of course, doesn't offer any weekly games caps at all, so it doesn't actually apply there. So that doesn't matter. You can't actually do that. Why would you be able to do that? We're only in 2024, and that thing's been available for 20 years or so. You probably don't need that option. Who cares anyway? Yeah, right. No. What do we worry about? So that's not an issue there. But the acquisitions will be just 4 across that 14-day period. But again, I'll talk about this basically every day just to make sure everyone knows. And I know that people are still going to get like annoyed at it, but that's where we're at. Let's get to another question here. Ooh, I don't know how to answer this one, Daniel, but we'll give it a go. You say, how valuable is Alex Sarr in head-to-head dynasty leagues? Like, one of those questions, like how valuable, is always tough. Like, he's worth 34 value points. Like, it's very hard to know exactly how to view that. But I had him as the number 1 player in dynasty for this rookie draft coming in. Nothing really has changed my mind from that opinion. How would you view him? I guess let's say, like, in 3 years' time, King, are we looking at Alex Sarr as a top 50 player, top 30, top 80? Where are you at with him?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's so hard at this point to know. I don't know. I'd probably have him maybe top 70, maybe top 60 at best. I'm not super high on him just yet, but I think in a dynasty that's the range I'd probably have him in.
I would have him higher than that. I think that we're talking about he's not Kristaps Porzingis, but that sort of a player type is incredibly valuable in fantasy. He's not the scorer or shooter that Porzingis is, but yeah, a guy that might be, let's say the way that Jaren Jackson's developed his offense, right, is not something we really could have expected coming out of college. He was a defensive guy. I think that Sarr can do very similar things to Jaren, and a Jaren sort of Miles Turner hybrid, who both of those guys turned into better shooters than what they were coming in, and I think that's sort of a look there at Sarr. Your best case outcome is Chet Holmgren for him. That's the sort of shape of his stats coming through the international program versus what Chet did in college. The almost identical sort of stat shapes, but that's a high bar to get to. But yeah, that's a very high level fantasy player. Keep getting your questions in. We've got a lot of stuff more to cover here. We'll get to that very soon. But today's episode, it is brought to you by the Skylight Frame. I got one of these. They're fantastic. And if you're looking for gifts for people across this holiday season, Skylight Frame is one of those great things that you can get to them, because sometimes it's hard to find the appropriate gift for people because we all have different wants and needs and locations, and sometimes things are hard, people are hard to buy for. But Skylight Frame is a digital touchscreen photo frame. If you're in like a big family and people are spread out over the country, sometimes getting together can be a tough thing to do. And getting one of these frames where you can send out invite codes where people in your family can just use the app and just drop photos straight into it, and bang, they appear on that photo frame. It's such a great gift for people who are into those sort of visual memories. You can either do it via email, you can do it via the app. There's a 10-inch size, there's a 15-inch size frame. It hangs on the wall, can sit on your stand as well. So many different ways that you can use it. The touchscreen allows you to swipe through. You can like photos and the people get instant feedback on the ones they've sent through to you. That touchscreen's a game changer on one of these digital photo frames as well. And now for a special limited time offer, all listeners get $20 off your purchase of a Skylight Frame when you go to skylightframe.com/NBA. That is SKYLIGHTFRAME.com/NBA. Get $20 off your purchase now at skylightframe.nba. Yes, .nba. As I just bring this one in here. We're good. All right. What question have we got now, King? Let's take a look. I put Desmond Bane on the cover of this show, and someone asked a question before. I'm just trying to find it. What are you thinking with Desmond Bane? Because I have received the Desmond Bane drop questions. Here it is. Steppenwolf the Great. What is wrong with Desmond Bane? Yeah, I've received. What do I do with Desmond Bane? Do I drop him? Because it has not been good output from Desmond Bane of late. Where are you at with him?
Yeah, it hasn't been good. But Grizzlies haven't been good as a whole. I guess it's I don't know. It's really hard to know. I think he'll get better. I just think it's one of these situations where the shots aren't dropping for whatever reason. Just pulled up his game log here. His field goal percentage
it's terrible.
is really bad. He's had an injury in there as well. So I don't know. I mean, this is a sample size of 2 weeks where it's been really bad. I think I'd take the sample size of 2 years, 3 years over that. So it definitely a buy low, absolutely. But I don't. If I had him on my team, which I don't have him anywhere, I wouldn't be moving him right now. It would not be a good time to be doing that. I would just try and hold and hopefully he turns things around.
I agree with the majority of that. The only thing I'll not push back on, but add into that is that the way that Memphis is, and this is a very, very interesting thing that is happening across many NBA, or not many, but quite a few NBA teams, is that teams that have depth, they're just using it. The Golden State Warriors go, okay, we actually don't need to just run a traditional 9-man rotation if there's guys that we like that can fill specific roles, and the Grizzlies will do the same. They go, look, we're winning anyway, guys. I don't need to play Ja Morant 34 minutes. He gets hurt. I don't need to play Desmond Bane 34 minutes. He gets hurt. I don't need Jaren Jackson to do this. I don't need Zach Edey to do this. They don't need any of it. So they're going to be games, and they cook people, and they cooked whoever they played yesterday, and they do it consistently. They are putting up big smash lines all the time. Detroit it was. They absolutely killed Detroit yesterday without Ja Morant. And that is probably the worry, is that they are looking at it, much like the Warriors. It's really interesting looking at the top of net rating list where it's Warriors are there, the Grizzlies are there, and okay, and then it's the Knicks who play 6 players, and then it's the Rockets who go, all right, we've got 7 guys, and we love those 7 guys, and then the Aaron Holidays and Jason Tate's absolutely nice. It's just these two different things. I think it's really interesting that obviously the playoffs should shorten the rotations, but like with the Knicks or even the Rockets, more so the Knicks, if someone gets hurt, done. Like it's the Stars and Scrubs versus balanced auction fantasy king. And Grizzlies are really leaning into the balanced approach. I think that probably just takes a little bit of the top off what Bane is able to do, because I don't think they need to push him into big minutes.
Yeah, and it will be interesting to see these teams like the Warriors and the Grizzlies, assuming they make the playoffs. Does this strategy set them up for having the ability to roll out? Because I don't think they would roll out this rotation in the playoffs. They might.
Why not? The Warriors have done it before. Like, they don't run out necessarily, but they don't go, all right, now it's 8 guys. They just go, okay, well, we're still going to put 10 players out there. And as you get closer in there, like Steph will play 31 versus then he'll go to 35 or 36, and that'll happen, right?
Yeah.
But the fact is, and this I think is what I talked about a lot about the Warriors in the preseason, that they've got just a lot of very good players. And then less so now that Melton's out, but like all these guys like Hield and Melton and Anderson and Kuminga and Pajemski and whoever else you want to throw out there, they're all like useful enough. And that's how they're using them. So the usefulness doesn't go away. And the fact that they sort of can't separate at the moment, I think that doesn't change a lot. But you know what? The playoffs don't really matter that much for us here talking fantasy. But this is an interesting question that I am going to bring up, and I don't, again, know how to answer this one. It's like, how many games do you think Joel Embiid will play? I believe he is just 3 games away from missing the 65-game minimum required to qualify for individual awards. Is he worth holding on to, Frodo? Ignore the individual awards thing. That was the thing the NBA obviously brought in last season. I think it actually was really bad for the game, and people know my thoughts on that. Embiid is not gunning for that. This has got nothing to do with it. I believe I put out a question on my show the other day asking people's responses to this. He played 39 last season. What do you think over under on that? I go under, actually.
Yeah, start of the season, I had him at 50-ish. That was my range I thought he'd be in. But I didn't think he was going to miss the first, what did he miss, 2-3 weeks of the season. If we say over under of 40, I'm going to go under. I'm just going to lean into my opinion on his health and his knees and say under.
I've said this the whole way through. I believe I began saying this in May, that his knees are rooted. I will not be drafting him anywhere in the first round. And I'm very happy with how that has turned out from a prognostication perspective, but I hate it from a real life perspective of who Embiid is as a player and what it can do to the league and all that sort of stuff, and all the perceptions that it puts out there. I hate that stuff. I hate that I was right, but I like that I was right, because to me that's relatively obvious, and it's a good lesson to move forward and that sort of stuff. If you have your multiple meniscus surgeries, also Kawhi, that's not happening again either, by the way. He's done. That you can't do it. I'll talk to any doctor, any surgeon. Multiple meniscus surgeries means you have no cushioning, means your knee flares up and swells up every time, basically, and you just cannot do anything at the same level or for any extended period of time. And that's what we're seeing now. And I'd love to be proven wrong at this. But yeah, at the moment, not really. There's a question here from a guy by the name of S, which I'm sure is not his real name, but I don't really know how to answer it, Kingy. I'll put it up there and we can just have a bit of a chat about it. He says, what do you think the biggest problem in fantasy is that's continuing to get worse over the years, and how do we as a community help to address it? What's the biggest problem in fantasy? I don't. There are problems. I don't know how to address it. I think a lot of it comes down to, honestly, and I'll say this, it's the way that the major providers of fantasy have not adjusted to the times. And that leads to disillusionment with people playing the game. And you've, I've talked about this on my show a bit, where you put out you started that league, that head-to-head roto hybrid league, which is something that I had talked about back in April, this idea of why do we only have one matchup a week? Why do we do this? Like, variance is such a weird thing that leads to, and some people like randomness. I was arguing with someone the other day that's about the sleeper format. Like, that's great, it gives everyone a chance to win every week. Just toss a coin then. Like, who cares? Like, why were you not rewarding any skill? So you've got this format where we play everyone every week. I've done all my games cap things with these larger benches, but the fact that everyone is stuck in this, like Yahoo, hey, you've got to have 2 starting centers. It's a 10 and 3. There's no weekly games cap. These ideas, this is, I think, part of the overarching problem. Then people come in and go, too many injuries, I can't compete. This guy's got more games than me this week. And that is what leads to the problem, because people don't have or if you play on Yahoo, you don't have the ability to institute some of these things that we do anyway to actually make it better. But then that just compounds issues. I would say that's probably one of the biggest issues, is that the problems that are, I think, relatively easy to address aren't addressed by the bigger providers, which then turns people further off playing because they have a negative experience because of things that are relatively easily solvable.
I think that's correct. I think that obviously I know you do and I do. I run majority of my leagues on fan tracks, which has the most flexibility and ability to change settings and customize settings and things like that. That is where I've set up that league and just looking at the results of that league, it highlights the variance from one week to the next because we've got exactly the same rosters every week. And 1 week I'll beat a team 6-3, then I lose 7-2. And so it just highlights injuries and all that sort of stuff.
Unless you're my team, King, and I just win every week.
You do, yeah. You're up there.
Oh, that's definitely my best team of any of my teams I think I've got. It's my industry pickup team's coming good, but that team there is my best team. I was very happy with how it once turned out for now. We'll see how it keeps going.
Yeah, it's always my man. You're the team that always beats me every week. I'm sort of pretty good against the other teams, and you always end up beating me 5-4 or something like that. But yes, I do think it is that inability to customize leagues and things like that, which frustrates people. But yeah, definitely not. Like people complain about injuries. That is not something worth complaining about. It's part of sport. It's whatever.
It is.
So that doesn't bother me at all. I mean, there's always that discussion about what are the correct categories and we don't want to use turnovers. So what's the best ninth category? And I don't think there's a correct answer at this point.
It's a fool's errand trying to find it. It's a fool's errand. You can try and find it. I think there are many things wrong with that. 3-pointers made, not a good category. Field goal percentage, not a good category. But I don't think that's a pressing issue. Honestly, we adjust to it and turnovers, whatever. They're annoying. There are ways better, but that's a longer discussion to be able to fix. And I think it's like when people go, "What's the best points scoring?" Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It doesn't it's not impacting the overall way that you're enjoying this league. Kingy, I want to get back to a player-specific thing in a question. I'll put the question up so people can see it. I'm going to come back and talk about it, and you can have a think about it. It's from Kimron, and someone else asked this question as well. I'm talking about Bilal Coulibaly. They say, is Bilal a drop? Have a think about it. We're going to come back in a sec and talk about that. But today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Start the season or get ready to tackle all the NFL action, in fact, with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. There might be football games starting very, very soon. You can go in and bet $5, win your first $5 bet on FanDuel and get $150 in bonus bets. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything that you need to place those live bets on the NFL all in one place. So in the middle of that game, you're sitting there, you're ignoring family, you're ready to place your live bets on a Lions game, a Cowboys game. It's all there. I think the Dolphins, I think we're playing today. Dolphins Packers is on today. You can go check that out. Live play-by-play, all the live stats on the FanDuel app. So go to FanDuel.com. Start today and get $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. So, Bilal. There were many, many, many indicators, Kingy, that he was going to fall off. Very obvious indicators that it wasn't going to hold. And it hasn't held. Again, this was very obvious, I think, to be able to see. What are you doing with Bilal at the moment, though? Because it's gone from hey, he's shooting 80% to now he's shooting 20%. Exaggerated figures. What are you doing with him?
Look, I think he's still a hold for now. It's one of those situations, I think, where if you drafted him with the last pick or wherever you took him in your draft, you didn't pick him up for scoring. You drafted him for some rebounds, some defensive stats. The fact that he then came out and shot so well and had all these 20-point games, which we weren't expecting, has then raised that bar, and people are now thinking, well, if he's not scoring 20 points, what's the point in holding him? But that's not why you drafted him. So I think just managing expectations based on a 2-week sample size is important. So I think he's probably still a soft hold, but yeah, what he was doing there to start the season was not sustainable. I've had a lot of questions, people saying, between Coulibaly and Jeremy Sohan, because we've had these Sohan rumors, and is he coming back and that sort of thing, and people questioning, do I drop Coulibaly to activate, or who would you rather in a trade, that sort of thing. So that seems to be two players that people are comparing at the moment.
That brings us to the question, as Bill's Domino says, discuss Sohan, LOL. Okay, we discussed him. Should he be added? Yes. Is he coming back soon? It appears so. I don't know exactly when. He's being a little bit nebulous and, hey, it's days, not months, and maybe he's back next week. That's possible. Yeah, he was really good. But also remember, really good from what he was doing, which was solid, but it's like a top 100-ish player, maybe 110 around that mark, and that's totally good. And Vassell wasn't back during that time, and he might end up a drop, so don't be overzealous with doing it. Like, I saw a question saying, should I drop Malcolm Brogdon? Like, yeah, I'd be totally cool with dropping Malcolm Brogdon to go to Jeremy Sohan. But, like, I've also seen, should I drop Desmond Bane for Jeremy Sohan? I go, no, can you please, like, go talk to somebody? Like, what are you talking about? Like, Sohan is good. He is solid. He is fine. He was a very good surprise at the beginning of the season, Kingy, and I would add him, but, like, let's not get too excited.
No, he was good, but as you said, Vassell wasn't there, and Wemby was struggling a little bit offensively, and he's rounded into some form now. So, I think just temper expectations a bit. But, yes, Sohan is definitely someone you should be rostering at the moment.
Galahad is in this chat often, so I'll bring up his question here, and he brings up an interesting point, which is sort of interesting, but not really interesting, but it's sort of interesting. He says, well, at what point will the Sixers make a call on shutting down Embiid and possibly Paul George for the season, and then will the dancing bear, Gershon Yabusele, be a clear ad at that point? Now, we need to be very, very clear on something here, Kingy, that people, it's the 29th of November, right? People are going to start talking shutdowns. It's just not a thing that happens at this point in the season out of nowhere, right? Embiid's knee is in real trouble, and I believe he will continue to play. Paul George is not getting shut down. Like, he doesn't have any sort of long-term injury here. If these things do happen and Paul George continues to get injuries which keep him out, then he will be out. But yeah, otherwise, as if they're out of the playoffs and they can't make it, and it's March the 20th or something like that, then those guys won't play the final 2 to 3 weeks of the season. That is when these fake shutdowns happen. The last 2 to 3 weeks of the season, you might get it into that fourth last week, maybe, unless someone is legitimately hurt. That is when it happens. There is no team, there is no player that is getting stopped playing now in November, December, January, or February, unless it is an injury that will keep them out for 4 months. That is it. Yeah, that's just how that. I'm sure someone will find one example of it. That is just a general rule. So when will it happen? Embiid could get, like, his knee just might be actually done, and they say you need 8 months off here, and we're going to have some sort of experimental surgery or something to try and fix something. And maybe that happens, but that'll be the Paul George. There's nothing actually going on with him out. There is. He's got the knee bone bruise, but it's not like a month-long situation here.
No, I wouldn't worry too much about Paul George. It's been very frustrating, obviously, but Embiid. Again, this is why I was low on him. Why you were low on him, because and you watch him on the court and he just looks, his knee looks done. Like, he's not mobile. Mm-hmm. He's putting up numbers. People say, but he put up this, he had 35 and 10. I said, he's a very good player, and he's very big. And so you just get him the ball, he's going to score. But you watch him running up and down the court, and it's not pretty to watch. He's obviously
looks wrong.
He does. He looks, it's painful. And so this is not a situation where people say, he's soft, he just doesn't want to play. Well, no, this would hurt. Like, his knee would be so sore, and he's feeling this pressure to play through it, and he's got the weight of the franchise, all that stuff. So, but yes, it's not going to be, he's going to give it his all, and they're going to try and get him out there, as you said, until they're mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, which, late February, early March, probably more like mid-March.
I've got 3 really quick hitting questions here I want to get to, which I think are interesting. Buzzer Beater says, do I believe that Peyton Pritchard will continue to be must roster in 9-cat 12-team leagues? And would I consider dropping Onyeka Okongwu? I think Pritchard, no, he won't be a must roster player. He'll be someone that is okay to roster, but I think that you'll find him move to a 22-minute-a-night role, which will make him solid. But Porzingis coming back is going to sap usage away. So, and I'm actually totally okay with dropping Okongwu. Quick hitters on this, Kingy. We'll have 2 or 3 more questions. What do you think? Peyton Pritchard and Onyeka Okongwu.
Peyton Pritchard, no. Well, must roster. I don't know. Depends what you define as must roster. I think he'll be okay, as you said, to roster. But what he was doing to start the season was probably above his head a little bit. And Okongwu, sadly, I think it was better yesterday. He played 28 minutes, I think, like 20 or something for Capella. So maybe we're just going to see if this turns into anything. But given what we've seen thus far this season, other than that first game, he hasn't been super impressive.
No, he hasn't. Is there any reason to believe Alfred Payton can maintain 25-plus minutes and at least be a decent assist stream of rest of season? I mean, is there any reason? Sure. Is that reason logical? Not really. I don't see. Look, again, that would mean they'd have to play Murray, McCullum, and Payton together a lot, and I don't think they will. I don't think they will. So I don't believe that it is a no. Simple as that, Kingy.
No, I don't think so. Not once they're healthy. But again, are they ever going to be healthy? So, yeah, he might have a role. He'll just be one of those guys that finds his way to minutes because other players are injured. But they are starting to get healthy now. So, I don't. We even saw yesterday the minutes were down.
Yeah, and he had, I think, 4 assists in that game. Like, it wasn't anywhere near that. Question here from S. He says, Suggs is playing right now. Is that a concern given that Cam Thomas is out 1 month with the same injury? It's a hamstring, and you know my thoughts on hamstrings. It doesn't mean that they're all the same injury. Is it a little bit of a concern? Yeah, I'm going to be a little bit worried that he missed 1 game for a hamstring strain that allegedly was soreness, and then he missed a game. But it doesn't mean that it's the same as Cam Thomas necessarily. I am going to have some concern, and I'll be very much monitoring what happens with Suggs, but I'm not going to look at that and go, well, Cam Thomas is this, and this has got to be that sort of thing. So I'd be I'm a little concerned, but not massively.
No, it's something. I was a little bit surprised that he played yesterday, but there didn't appear to be any limitations. Obviously, he had a very good game. So, but certainly something like I wouldn't be surprised if in a week he's out again with a hamstring strain or hamstring soreness or whatever they're calling it.
I think that is reasonable. All right, King, that is the end of the question. Someone asked me yesterday at the end of the live mailbag if I do what I used to do on some of the pre-game shows, and that is play Dribble Game. I don't know if you've played Dribble Game before, but would you be interested to stay around for 5 minutes and play a game with me?
Sure.
All right, let me just... Now, I should have probably prepared this in advance, but that's okay. We will figure that out. Let me just go and have a look. Sorry, guys.
Do I need to be able to see the screen?
Yeah, I'll put it up for you in a sec.
Okay.
Let me go and find it, as I should have prepared this in advance. So, guys, we're going to play a little bit of a game. Let's bring it up. All right. I hope that this works. Want to play in the browser? Yep. Okay, I do. All right. Just everyone talking about this. You know, King, I'll give you one question you can answer while I just find this out. Oh, here you go. Derek Wong says, is Dyson Daniels' recent numbers what we should expect for the rest of the season, or should you sell high while you still can?
Oh yeah. Look, I think I said yesterday that again. This is a little bit of a situation where the bar was raised quite quickly because of what he did early. He had those 4 or 5, 6 steal games in a row or something like that. So. And then people will look at his last few games and go, he's been down a little bit. Well, has he? He yesterday had 12 and 10 with 2 steals and a block, 17 with 2 steals, 2 blocks before that. The scoring was not something I was only ever of the opinion he would score 12 points a game and get you maybe 3 defensive stats, and he's playing much better than that. So if I was selling high on him, I would only try and move him for like a top 40 player at best, or at worst. Otherwise, I'm just holding him everywhere.
Yeah, I think if you get a top 40, you do it. Joey Lynch says, Josh said Christian Brown was really bad. Now he's getting proven wrong. Sick. Yeah, because every bit of available evidence suggested Christian Brown was a bad fantasy player, and I sort of went with that, and now he's been way better, and I admitted that I'm wrong on that. But Joey, you really got me there, so sick for you. Thanks for being in the chat, and just keep burning me. I'd love if you kept doing that. Let's take a look now, Kingy, at Dribble Game. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and connect these 2 players to each other, and the question today is Clint Capella and Steph Curry, so someone that they've both played with. I think I already know the answer to this one of who it is. Yes, you got guesses. You can say okay, this guy played with Clint, and then that next guy played with someone else who played with Steph. We want to try and connect them that way, but you can do it in one. And do you have any guess? I'm very certain I know the answer to this.
Well, it's obviously got to be a Warriors player, someone who has played for the Warriors, because Curry has only played for the Warriors. No, I'd need time to think about it.
I believe it's Kent Bazemore, but let's have a look. It is not Kent Bazemore. He didn't play with Capella. Fuck. Okay, so who played? So it's got to be a Hawks player or a Rockets player?
Yep. Hawks or Rockets and Warriors.
Oh, so Basemore's killing me. The other one is, did Daniel House ever play for the Warriors? I don't think so. Philadelphia and Houston.
Yeah.
Robert Covington never played. Or Robert Covington was traded as part of the Clint Capella deal, wasn't he? Someone's going to have an answer here, and I'm not going to look at the chat. I'm not going to do that just yet. Houston, who played? Eric Gordon never played for the Warriors. Ryan Anderson never played for the Warriors. James Harden never played with Steph Curry. Russell Westbrook never played with Steph Curry. Westbrook didn't play with Capella either, actually. I thought I had it. I thought Kent Bazemore was the easy answer there. And I know that someone's going to be... I know that Yuri's going to be in here as a Warriors fan. She probably knows the answer to this. King, who have we got here? Warriors player that played with the Hawks or Rockets. Think about terrible Steph... Oh, D'Anthony Melton. Did he play with Clint Capella in Houston? Yes.
He might have, yeah.
Yes. All right, let's try that one. Anthony Melton. No, fuck. What?
No, it's
what?
not Melton. Okay.
Did he never play? Oh, no, was he drafted by... No, did he play in Houston? No, he was drafted
he played in Houston.
He was drafted there and traded to Phoenix, wasn't he? That's right.
I thought he might have played there.
Yeah, damn it. What about... Oh, Chris Paul. Chris Paul, did he play with Capella? Was he on that? No. Because Paul... No. Hang on. Was Paul there? Paul was traded for... Paul was traded... Yeah, Paul was on that team because then Paul got traded for Westbrook, didn't he? Paul got traded for Westbrook, and that's when Capella then left after that, so it's got to be Chris Paul. Well, it doesn't have to be, but this has been right. Yeah, there we go. Chris Paul, bang. Okay. That was rough from us. Should have done better on that. Kingy, well, that's okay. We tried our best. We got there. I thought we were going to do better. I've been rusty on dribble game, but thank you for coming on and giving us those your little bits of knowledge. We got there in the end. We're eventually there. What's going on for you at the moment? What upcoming projects have you got going on?
Upcoming projects, not a lot, but just the Daily Show, which I'm managing to squeeze in every day. I don't know how you do two or three a day, but so Daily Show. I've got a pretty cool show with Dan Bespris next Wednesday our time, Tuesday, around midday over there. So I've got an exciting show with Dan next week, and potentially a new weekly show with Noah Rubin coming out, just because we haven't done a show in a while.
There you go. Go and check out Kingy and Dan and Kingy and Noah and Kingy and whoever else that he is collaborating with at this point. Maybe there's a Bonnie Blue moment coming out for you, Kingy. Maybe a collab coming out there that we'll see on a different platform. You never know. Go follow Kingy and check out all of his work. Thank you again, mate, for coming on and answering these questions from the great legends who are out here in the fantasy basketball community. My pleasure, mate. Always a joy. All right, guys, so that is the end of the Mailbag show. I will have a show coming out later today previewing the action for Friday with 10 games on, so stay tuned for that. I did a show earlier today with some hidden stats, talking about potential assists, rim finishing numbers, giggity, all that sort of stuff, so you can go check that one out. Also, of course, double bang and leave your comments down below. And as always, enjoy your day. Celebrate the good things, and remember, no matter what sort of negative things are going to happen today, and there might be some bad stuff that you feel, or you feel certain ways, just there are going to be good things that you do. Celebrate them. Small, big, doesn't matter. Just know that there's always something good, and having a focus on that as a part of your daily routine is a really positive thing. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.